Hey everyone, it's Darren, everyone's favorite hillbilly in the trailer hood. Today I am standing in the trailer hood in Lewisburg, Kansas. Came all the way down to southeastern Kansas, dropped off last night in Marshall, Missouri, and came down to move that chateau to turd. Now, I said no, I can't move it today because this thing's not ready to move. What I wanted to make the video on is things to watch out for. You want to start asking you when you're out buying a house, looking to see if this thing can move, especially if you know you're buying it to move. Things you want to watch for. So let's get into it. We don't have a lot of time. Right here, you can see we got some brand new windows right up there. First time you walk up here, you say, "Ooh, man, new windows, that's awesome." Now, ask yourself, what's the thickness of a window? Thickness of a window, you know, you kind of look on. It should be kind of make a little C with your hand, you know, about 1.5 inches, 2 inches thick, right? Now you look at this, looky right here. Look at how flush that is right there. Where'd the window go? Where'd the thickness of the window go? Huh. And then remember, you back up right here, kind of stop and just kind of look right up there. There's some really cool, almost looks like tin foil. Now, maybe they were conspiracy theorists, maybe they weren't, you don't know. Now, if you look at it, there's all sorts of foil, like right up here on at the base of the flue. You can see right back there, there's a plumbing vent, there's some foil right there. That's some weather stripping kind of tape, it's something. Ask yourself why. Factories don't put that there. Why'd the homeowner put it there? Now, these doors, these access hatches, these are all bolt-on. It's the very last thing in the factory that happens. All the siding's on, everything's there. There's a flange right here that gets bolted on. It gets bolted right on over the outside of the siding, on the old wood siding. Where's the nail strip with all the screws in it? These doors, they stick out a good 1.5 inches or so. Where is it? Well, these are all great questions. So you start asking yourself, is this siding original? Now you know your vintage of the house. I got a copy of the title. It's 1990 Schultz. Schultz makes good houses. But that siding is LP Smart Side. They didn't have LP Smart Side back in the early 90s. So what's that mean? All that siding is brand new. Well, there's nothing really wrong with that. What'd they do with the old siding? That is a great question. So, you know, once in a while, people around here, the neighbor over here came over. He's lived here since 2012. He remembers when they came out here, tore all the siding off this house. They didn't tear the old siding off, but they were putting the new siding on. He begins telling me they just went right over the top of the old stuff. Now, all of a sudden, everything makes sense. The lack of depth on the windows, the recessed door. Why'd they do that? Nothing wrong with the siding. Now wait a minute. If there's nothing wrong with the siding, remember our tape right up there? What's tape for? Water. The whole fellow next door tells me this whole corner up here fell off. Like quite literally just fell off. Because of rot. Other things you want to watch for when you're coming out here to buy these houses. You go take a tour of the inside. When you start to see stuff like this, all that rotted, see, that's that old press board that's common on the use of houses. Let's go take a look at the inside. Here's the eviction notice. Ah, yes. Even has the nice new home smell. So now, remember, when you're looking at the outside, that is brand new LP Smart Side. New studs. Look at all of that. So you see all that rot right up there. And then you come up over here. You see it spots in here where the top plate. Reach up there. I don't know if you know this. You probably don't have to be a journeyman carpenter to know. You're not supposed to be able to just take the studs apart. And right here, Oh, here you go. I guess that one was nailed in, but you can see the freaking wall's not even attached to the ceiling. I'm going back over there, then all the way up into the front. There's no light, and I didn't bring my little handheld in here, so I can't really show you. What I can show you is over here. So here's all the windows. Remember I was telling you the thickness of those windows? You can see how thick an actual window frame really is. A couple inches, and we didn't see that on the outside. So now we start investigating. Ooh, that's old fiberboard. There was no fiberboard apparent on the outside. So what they do? They went right over the freaking top of it. Why does all that matter? Because that's all weight. I'm walking right here on plywood. This house didn't come from the factory with plywood. Right over here, you can see the bottom plate. Right in there. Now all of that's rotted. Every last bit of this freaking framing is rotted. Rotted, rotted, rotted. See? It's not even connected. I can thump it with my hand and get it all to move. Now, you go buy a house and your objective is to move it maybe into your park, maybe on some land so you can flip it. You don't want this thing to fall apart. You're going to hire a guy like me to come out and try to transport this thing. When the guy shows up, if you don't tell him all of this ahead of time and say, hey, shoot me a rough number. Like when I talk to my client, he tells me, oh, this thing's almost ready to go. I'll send my guys down, come help you out. I was like, yeah, it's almost ready to go. It's only going like 14 miles. I'm in the area, $2,500. I'm good. Well, the thing is, now that number is going to change by several multiples because now all this crap has to come out. Furniture has to come out. Building material has to come out. The reason all that's important is the weight. See, when it comes to mobile homes, everything's based off of the weight calculation, drives how many axles go underneath it. And you can generally factor 5,000 to 6,000 pounds per axle. So you look, this house has 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 axles. The engineer at the factory figured out this house off the line back in 1990 was roughly 23,000 pounds, somewhere in that neighborhood. 6,000 is a safe number. It's between 5 and 6. So the guy called this 23,000. By the time you factor in the frame, all your finishing and everything. Remember, we added these over the top. I counted them. There's 44 of these things. This is OSB. Look it up online. You can find the sheet of OSB Smart Sideways 45 pounds. So that's 2,000 pounds that you add to the outside envelope that was not accounted for in the floor joists. Remember, our floor joists are rotted because the purpose of the homeowner, instead of fixing the freaking roof leak, and roof leaks are super simple to fix a lot of times, especially on these old metal roofs. Dear Lord, they're easy. All you got to do is coat them, keep them coated. And coatings, I don't know, $400 or $500 over the lumber yard. It takes you Saturday afternoon to do it. The homeowner went that route instead of fixing the freaking roof. Let the water run in and down through the walls. So we've had water all through here. So remember, we got an extra couple thousand pounds here that was not accounted for in the weight calculation. The shear wall, that's the outside wall. The shear wall is held up by the bottom plate, or your rim joist is right here. Your bottom plate's at the bottom of the wall, the rim joist is right here. All that carries the load of the wall and the roof, transfers the load over here to the chassis, which is supported by the axle. Now, if your rim joist is rotted, if your bottom plate is rotted, if all that crap's rotted, this thing goes down the road, and as this thing goes down the road and kind of rocks and kind of rolls because, you know, the knucklehead over there driving the truck hits the freaking potholes or swerves to miss the, the Amish buggy on the corner or on the road, the shoulder or whatever. You can't swerve and go, I'd go around the freaking buggies and hit the pothole, and the whole house kind of rolls and kind of does this thing. This right here becomes critical to keeping the house connected to the floor system, connected to the chassis, connected to the truck. So if you don't want your stuff laying in the ditch, these are all things you got to be looking at. Now, can I move this? Yeah, I can move it. But now comes down to a question of cost, because before I hook that to that, we're going to talk some money. The reason being is because I'm reinforcing a lot of this right down here. And how do I reinforce it? I'm going to probably screw some CDX to the studs down here, probably run some additional framing lumber in, screw that all together all the way down, so that way I know I've got good, brand new, positive connections. I'm going to charge for this, and kind of expensive. And is it going to pencil for this guy? I don't know, but we'll find out. These are all things to consider when you go out to look at a house. Just stop and look. Just take it in. Don't think about the disposition. Don't think about, your rehab. Just stop and start asking yourself, is that the way it came off the line? What'd they do to it? Then start asking yourself, why? Why'd they do that? And at that point, those are how you find some of the unpleasant surprises. And that's how you don't end up on YouTube with a house broken in 5 pieces on the side of the highway, or being pissed off at the mover because you didn't tell the mover, hey, the whole freaking thing's rotted. The guy said, hey, I'll move for $2,500. And then he gets out there and like, yeah, no. Now you're all pissed off the mover because you didn't tell him that. When you see things like that and that and that, start asking, start investigating, start figuring out why. Once you have that, that helps you on the buy. Now, this would be an expensive move. Had the homeowner, he's an investor, had the homeowner known that ahead of time, he could have used that in his negotiation on his price, and he could have made his money on the buy. Nothing wrong with that. Just make sure you know about that ahead of time, so that way you can buy it right. That way when your mover shows up and says, hey, man, I'm like $6,000 to go 14 miles. Yeah. Everybody's eyes popped, because so did mine when I did the math on what I think I'm going to charge to go 14 freaking miles and not have this thing in the ditch on the side of the road in southeast Kansas. Hey, y'all make it a good one.